What is steady state exercise? According to Simon Rea et al., when the body is working at a steady state, it means that lactic acid removal is occurring at the same pace as lactic acid production. Steady state occurs at around 20 minutes of continuous exercise, and it is when your body's systems can meet the demands of an exercise. My presentation will be about analysing steady state exercise and the changes it causes within our bodies by carrying out a 20-minute exercise test. Before exercise, heart rate will increase slightly due to an anticipatory rise, which is when adrenaline is secreted from the adrenal glands and is sent to the SA node to speed up heart rate. At the start of steady-state exercise, the receptors in the body will detect changes such as an increase in blood pressure and CO2 levels, which will cause signals to be sent to the CCC. Then the CCC will send impulses down the sympathetic nervous system, which will secrete norepinephrine, which stimulates the SA node to increase heart rate. However, heart rate increases in coordination to the intensity of the exercise, so once the athlete reaches a steady state, the receptors won't be sending more signals as the intensity is staying the same, so heart rate will plateau as energy is supplied at the same rate as it is being used up. John Honeyborn et al. States that cardiac output is the volume of blood ejected from the heart in 1 minute. Before exercise, there will be an anticipated rise in heart rate, which will cause cardiac output to increase because the heart is pumping blood to the body at a faster rate. During steady-state exercise, cardiac output will increase because the heart needs to pump enough blood to the working muscles to keep up with the demand for oxygen due to increases in CO2 levels. It will then plateau if enough oxygen is supplied to the working muscles and CO2 is removed efficiently. Average cardiac output at rest is 4.8 litres but can increase up to 30 litres during exercise. Stroke volume is the amount of blood pumped out of the heart in one contraction, and the average is around 70 millilitres but can increase to 140 millilitres during exercise. For athletes such as Mo Farah, their stroke volume will be higher as the heart is stronger, so it can pump more blood in each contraction. Livestrong.com says that elite athletes have estimated stroke volumes between 90 to 110 millilitres at rest and 150 to 220 during maximal exercise training. As the intensity of the exercise and the demand for oxygen increases, so does stroke volume because more blood is pumped from the heart to the body in each contraction. However, John Honeyborn et al. States that stroke volume increases in proportion to exercise intensity until a plateau is reached at approximately 40 to 60% of working capacity. Therefore, during steady-state exercise, stroke volume will increase to a certain point but will then remain the same. During exercise, there will be an increase in muscle contractions which allow blood to flow back to the heart faster, which means that venous return increases. As more blood goes back to the heart, there will be a larger stretch, so the heart will contract more forcefully, which causes stroke volume to increase. Blood pressure is the amount of force blood exerts on the artery walls. During steady-state exercise, systolic blood pressure, which is when the heart contracts and pushes blood into the arteries, will increase because more blood is being pumped out of the heart per beat, and once the heart is able to get enough oxygen to the working muscles to keep up with the demands of the exercise, systolic pressure will plateau. Diastolic pressure, which is when the heart fills with blood, will either decrease slightly or stay the same as heart rate is faster, so there is less time for the heart to fill with blood between each contraction. Blood pressure increases because of vasodilation, where the diameter of blood vessels gets larger and allows more blood to flow to the working muscles, and is forced back to the heart because of the contraction and relaxation of skeletal muscles. Constriction will occur to redirect blood from organs and other body tissues to the working muscles as there is a higher demand for oxygen. This is called the vascular shunt mechanism, which is the process of the redistribution of blood. The body's core temperature is around 37 degrees, and during steady-state exercise there will be an increase in excess heat which needs to be released by the cardiovascular system. Ryan Redgate said that excess heat is lost through sweating and enlarging of peripheral blood vessels so that blood passes close to the surface of the skin. This will mean that the blood can cool down to maintain the body's core temperature. Also, during steady-state exercise, plasma volume increases, which helps support sweat glands' function to release more heat from the body to maintain homeostasis. Venous return is the flow of blood back to the heart, and at the start of steady-state exercise, this will increase as the skeletal muscles, which are contracting and relaxing, will push blood back to the heart at a faster rate. Once the athlete reaches steady state exercise, venous return will plateau because the working muscles won't be pushing the blood through the blood vessels at a faster rate as they are working at a constant speed. Due to an initial increase in venous return during exercise, there will be more blood filling the ventricles, so there will be a larger stretch on the heart walls, which will cause an increase in the force of the contraction of the heart. This is known as Stalin's law. Before doing exercise, there may be a small increase in breathing rate due to an anticipatory rise, which is prior to a thought or feeling, and it is when adrenaline or noradrenaline are released from the adrenal glands and are sent to the SA node, which causes heart rate to speed up and also means that breathing rate slightly increases. During steady state exercise, breathing rate will increase as more oxygen is needed for the working muscles, and then it will plateau once steady state is reached because the body is being supplied with enough oxygen to keep up with the intensity of the exercise. Tidal volume is the amount of air inhaled or exhaled in a normal breath, and for adults the average is around 500 milliliters but can increase to 3,000 to 4,000 milliliters during exercise. For an elite athlete, their tidal volume at rest during exercise will be higher because they have a larger lung capacity, so they can breathe more air in a normal breath. During steady state exercise, tidal volume will increase initially due to an increase in breathing rate, but it will then plateau at around 3 minutes until the end of exercise because enough oxygen is getting to the working muscles. Oxygen is transported through the body in hemoglobin, which is in red blood cells. Oxygen binds with hemoglobin at the site of the alveoli in the lungs and then becomes oxyhemoglobin. At rest, there will be a lower dissociation of oxygen to the muscles because there is a low demand for oxygen. However, during exercise, there will be a higher dissociation of oxygen from hemoglobin as the working muscle will require more oxygen for aerobic glycolysis. During steady state exercise, the oxygen dissociation curve will shift to the right, so there will be an increase in the dissociation of oxygen because there will be an increase in body temperature and acidity. The aerobic system uses glycogen as its main energy supply, which is good as there is a large amount of it, which means that you can work for around 3 minutes to 1 hour or more at a low to moderate intensity. Its only byproducts are H2O and CO2, which are easy to remove from breathing and sweating. It also requires a supply of oxygen and it has a slow rate of ATP resynthesis as it has a lot of complicated reactions. The process yields 38 moles of ATP, which is why it allows us to work for a long time. Within skeletal muscles, there are proprioceptors called muscle spindles, which detect stretches when movement occurs and send impulse to the CNS. Then, the information is processed and the CNS recruits the required amount of motor units needed to reduce the stretch in the muscles. Impulses are then sent from the CNS through the motor neuron and to the muscle fibers through nerve impulses at the neuromuscular junction, so they can contract in coordination, which will reduce the stretch. The Golgi tendon organ is a proprioceptor that senses muscle tension, and it is found in tendons. When it detects tension, it sends impulse to the CNS, which will recruit a certain amount of motor units to help contract the working muscles to reduce the tension. Types of hypothesis. If you think that the results will be the same, then it is called a null hypothesis. If you think the results will be significantly greater or less, it is known as a two-tails hypothesis. If you think the results will be more one-sided, then it is known as a one-tailed hypothesis. For our method for the test, we took resting heart rate, breathing rate, blood pressure, O2 saturation and blood lactate before the test. Got him to do a warm-up on the exercise bike so the muscles needed for the test would be ready. He began the exercise and his aim was to work between 60 to 70% of his maximum heart rate at steady state. Every 2 minutes we measured his heart rate, blood pressure and breathing rate. Every 4 minutes we measured his O2 saturation and blood lactate. And every 6 minutes we measured his rate of perceived exertion. We do this to see whether he was working in the correct training zone and to see if it was increasing, decreasing or staying the same. In our experiment, I predict that there will be an initial rise in blood pressure, heart rate, breathing rate, rate of perceived exertion and blood lactate, and a small decrease in O2 saturation as the intensity starts to rise. After around 3 to 4 minutes, I believe there will be a plateau on all of these components as the athlete will reach a steady state, so there should be a balance within the body. After set exercise, everything should decrease quite quickly as the intensity of the exercise should be low to moderate. Max and Summers' heart rate started off at an average of around 67 bpm and then rose to around 175 to 185 bpm at 6 minutes, where the heart rate started to plateau. This shows that they were working in the aerobic training zones as the heart could keep up with the demands of the exercise and didn't need to increase heart rate to pump more blood to the working muscles. Post 1 minute, heart rate decreased gradually from an average of 174 bpm at 20 minutes to 154 bpm. Josh's data can be disregarded as the pre-heart rate was taken after his warm-up, so it was a lot higher than Max and Summers' results, and most of his readings were taken manually and wasn't in proportion to his breathing rate and rate of perceived exertion. Normative data would suggest that there should be a steady increase in heart rate as exercise begins, which occurred in Summer and Max's exercise, but not for Josh. His heart rate decreased by 30 bpm from pre-1 to 2 minutes. For systolic pressure, we should have seen an increase until around 3 to 4 minutes, and then we should have seen a plateau. For Summer, this was sort of correct, as the systolic pressure increased to 106 at 8 minutes and then stayed around 110 to 120 until the end, but for Maximus it decreased from 145 to 99 and then increased significantly to 211. However, after this, his systolic pressure stayed around 120 to 130 from 40 minutes to 20 minutes. Normative data would suggest that diastolic pressure should decrease slightly at the start of exercise and then plateau when steady state is achieved. This occurred in Max's data as it decreased from 86 before exercise to 43 at 4 minutes, and then there was a plateau from 14 to 20 minutes at around 55 to 60. Summer's diastolic pressure increased until 14 minutes and then we saw a plateau, but this shouldn't have happened as diastolic pressure is meant to decrease at the beginning. For Josh, the blood pressure monitor stopped working, so we were only able to get his blood pressure before the exercise, so his data can be disregarded. At the start of exercise, up to around 8 minutes, the athlete's O2 saturation stayed very constant at an average of 98%. However, Maximus's O2 saturation declined to 83% at 12 minutes, which suggests that he was working harder between 8 to 12 minutes as oxygen was being used up at a faster rate. On the other hand, this could be unreliable, as after 12 minutes his O2 saturation increased to over 93%, which could show that the results were wrong. Compared to normative data, the results were quite accurate because in steady state exercise there shouldn't be a large decrease in oxygen in the body because there is enough to keep up with the demand of the exercise. However, Maximus might have worked too hard at around 12 minutes, so this result can be disregarded. At 4 minutes, Josh's blood lactate was 0.5, which was much lower than Summer and Max's, which were 12.5 for Summer and 9.8 for Max. In normative data, Max and Summer's results were very high, which could suggest they were working much harder than their aerobic training zone, but other data shows that this was not the case. At 12 minutes, all the participants' blood lactate increased, which shows that steady-state exercise was not achieved at this point, as normative data would show a plateau in blood lactate because the body should be removing waste products at the same pace as they are produced. At 20 minutes, Summer's results increased from 16.3 to 17.2, and Josh's increased from 0.9 to 2.9, which shows that they were both still working harder than they should have been, so it shows that they didn't reach a steady state. But Max's decreased from 17.4 to 9.6, which shows that he wasn't working as hard towards the end of the exercise, which correlates to his rate of perceived exertion, as it was lower at 16 to 20 minutes. Normative data would show results that are a lot lower than Max and Summer's results, so this data could be disregarded because they would have had to be working very hard in order to get results that high.